Hello. Today I will introduce you to the 10 most Earth-like planets in the universe. The notable thing is that behind each of these planets lie things that make scientists ask many questions about life. And as you dig deeper, you will see that each planet hides things that are both familiar and extremely alien. Let's start with the first planet, which is Mars. The realistic dream, Mars. With our current level of science, Mars is perhaps the only planet that humans can definitely set foot on in the near future. Not in theory, but in clearly outlined plans. A day on Mars is about 24.5 hours long, almost matching the human biological rhythm. It has 4 seasons, a stable orbit, and most importantly, it is not a chaotic or extreme world. Over decades of research, we have found clear evidence of water, ice at the poles, frozen water underground, and traces of ancient rivers that once flowed on the surface of this planet. Although the atmosphere of Mars is very thin, the temperature is cold, and cosmic radiation is dangerous, it is not a lost cause. If humans can bring plant seeds, build biological domes, mine ice to create water and oxygen, and gradually terraform the living environment, then Mars is no longer a science fiction dream. It becomes an engineering problem. And among all extraterrestrial planets, Mars is the problem that humans have started to solve, not just stand and watch. We may not see glowing cities on Mars in the next few decades, but if humanity truly needs a place to continue existing, Mars is the most realistic hope for a second home. If Mars is the choice that humans are step by step moving towards, then the next place is a completely different case. It is not immediately feasible, but in terms of natural conditions, it is much closer to the ideal home. The thick atmosphere, Kepler-62f. This is a planet located outside the solar system, about 1,200 light-years away from Earth, and it is currently considered one of the brightest candidates for life that humans have ever discovered. Scientific models show that the surface of Kepler-62f could be almost entirely covered by a deep ocean, or be a vast icy world like Earth during an ice age. What really catches scientists' attention lies in the atmosphere. The atmosphere of Kepler-62f is estimated to be about 12 times thicker than Earth's, capable of shielding almost all dangerous radiation from its host star. A year on this planet lasts about 267 days, and more importantly, it has distinct seasons, an extremely crucial factor for the stability of the biosphere. However, every paradise has its price. The gravity on Kepler-62f is about 1.6 times stronger than on Earth. That means if humans set foot here, every step would be much heavier. The human body, evolved to live under 1G, would have to work much harder, the heart pumping stronger, bones bearing more weight, and long-term habitation is a big question mark. If Kepler-62f is a true paradise but too far away and too heavy for the human body, then the next planet opens up a different scenario. It is smaller, closer, and theoretically, more like Earth. The irradiated twin, Kepler-438b. Kepler-438b was discovered in early 2015, located in the Lyra constellation. It is about 470 light-years away from us, still very far, but at least it hasn't exceeded scientific imagination. Regarding size, this planet is only about 12% larger than Earth, a number small enough for scientists to believe that the gravity on its surface might not be too different from where we live. Spectroscopic measurements indicate a 70% probability that the surface of Kepler-438b is solid rock, and more importantly, liquid water could exist. And if there is liquid water, at least biologically, the door to life is not completely closed. However, the problem with Kepler-438b doesn't lie within itself, but with the star it orbits. Kepler-438b is the planet of a red dwarf. This type of star has the advantage of providing stable heat for a very long time, but in return, they are extremely aggressive. Massive radiation storms from the host star can sweep across this planet with an intensity many times greater than what Earth has ever endured. If Kepler-438b does not have a strong enough magnetic field or a dense atmosphere, its entire surface will be like being continuously irradiated. In other words, Kepler-438b might have life, but it would be life that has to hide, endure, and exist in an environment always on the edge of being wiped out. If Kepler-438b makes us hope and then worry because of endless radiation storms, then the next planet brings a very different feeling. Not fierce, not extreme, but also not easy to live on. The eternal sunset, Kepler-186f. Kepler-186f is located about 500 light-years away from Earth, a bit further than Kepler-438b, but in return, it possesses something extremely important, a size almost identical to Earth. This makes scientists pay special attention because a similar size implies the possibility of similar gravity, familiar geological structures, and, more importantly, a suitable foundation for Earth-like life. Kepler-186f orbits a red dwarf star that is much smaller and colder than the Sun. It might sound disadvantageous at first, but the key point lies in its orbital position. This planet is located right at the outer edge of the habitable zone. What does that mean? It means it doesn't receive too much energy to be scorched, but also not too little for everything to freeze permanently. Under ideal conditions, liquid water could still exist on the surface. However, it has a very special characteristic that no other planet on this list has. Daylight there is never bright. Due to the small and dim host star, the sky of Kepler-186f would probably always have a pale red-orange hue, like an endless sunset on Earth. If Kepler-186f makes people think of an Earth submerged in eternal twilight, then the next planet brings a familiar feeling that is scary.
The out-of-reach Earth. Kepler-452b.
Kepler-452b orbits a G-type star almost identical to our Sun. A year on this planet lasts 385 days, not much different from Earth. Simply put, if you stood on the surface of Kepler-452b, the sky, the light, and the rhythm of time might make you forget you are on another world. Scientific models show that Kepler-452b has everything life needs: rock, oceans, clouds, and a stable atmosphere. Not too hot to scorch, not too cold to freeze. In theory, this is a place where Earth-like life could exist and even thrive. But the problem lies in a single number: 1,400 light-years. This distance is so vast that it turns Kepler-452b from a potential home into a dream out of reach. If using the fastest spacecraft available today, it would take humans 2,500 years just to complete the journey. What does that mean? It means those who depart will never arrive. Those who arrive will have nothing to do with the civilization that sent them. Only when long-term hibernation technology or bending spacetime becomes a reality will Kepler-452b truly step out of scientific papers. If Kepler-452b makes humans dream of a second Earth with land, sky, and familiar continents, then the next planet follows a completely different path. Not land, not forests, but water. A lot of water.
The ocean world. Kepler-62e.
Kepler-62e is located about 1,200 light-years from Earth, and it is one of the planets that has caught the attention of the scientific community the longest, because it is highly likely that this is not a planet with oceans, but a giant water world. Simply put, if you stood on Kepler-62e, you would almost never see land. The sky of this planet is covered by dense layers of clouds, humidity is always extremely high, and light is diffused, making the scenery always hazy like a foggy day on Earth's oceans. Climate models show that beneath that cloud layer are likely oceans hundreds of kilometers deep, where the pressure is terrifying and sunlight can hardly reach. And right there, scientists start to pose a bold hypothesis. If life exists on Kepler-62e, it won't be like anything we know. No trees, no land animals. But there could be aquatic creatures evolved in the dark, relying on heat, pressure, or chemical reactions at the bottom of the ocean. The most important thing is that Kepler-62e is currently considered the rocky planet with the highest probability of liquid water existence among all the worlds ever discovered. If Kepler-62e is a world of water and clouds, so far away that it can only exist in imagination, then the next planet is different. It is much closer.
The heavy gravity.
Gliese 667cc. Only 22 light-years away, a distance that in astronomical terms can be considered a neighbor. Gliese 667cc was discovered thanks to Europe's HARPS telescope and immediately caused a shock when it possessed an Earth similarity index of up to 85%, a very high number. The surface temperature is ideal, not too hot, not too cold, enough for water to exist in a liquid state. Even a year on this planet lasts only about 4 Earth weeks. It sounds perfect, but Gliese 667cc is a tidally locked planet. That means one half of the planet permanently faces the host star, while the other half is immersed in eternal cold darkness. The gravity of Gliese 667cc is much stronger than Earth's. A 75-kilogram person here, when stepping on this planet, will feel like they are carrying 120 kilograms on their shoulders. Walking is difficult, muscles quickly exhaust, and the human body must adapt from the beginning. So, Gliese 667cc shows us a rather harsh truth. An Earth-like planet is not necessarily an easy place for humans to live. And perhaps if life exists here, it won't walk on two legs, won't stand upright, and won't look like us. If Gliese 667cc shows us that a planet very similar to Earth can still be extremely hard to live on, then the next destination takes the story in a different direction. It's not the whole planet, but just a very narrow strip.
The Twilight Zone.
Gliese 581g. Gliese 581g is about 20 light-years away from us, even closer than Gliese 667cc. Astronomer Stephen Vogt once confidently stated that there is a 100% chance this planet has life, a statement that caused the scientific community at the time to split into two factions arguing fiercely. This planet has a mass 3 to 4 times that of Earth. It orbits its host star in just 37 days, and like many other candidates, it is also tidally locked. One half of the planet burns brightly continuously, the other half is immersed in eternal ice. But the difference lies in the transitional zone between the bright side and the dark side. There exists a zone of permanent twilight, where temperatures range from -12 to -31 degrees Celsius. Not too hot for water to evaporate, not too cold for everything to freeze completely. It is precisely in this fragile boundary strip that scientists believe life could sprout. Not green forests, not vast oceans, but maybe just bacteria, algae, or extreme life forms we have never seen. However, the atmospheric structure of Gliese 581g to this day remains a great unknown. No one knows if it is thick enough to retain heat, shield radiation, or maintain long-term stability. So, Gliese 581g is like an open question of the universe. Does life need a whole planet to exist, or just an adequate boundary? After Gliese 581g, where life, if any, only exists in a fragile boundary strip, the next place poses a question that startles many scientists. What if Earth is not yet the most optimal living environment?
The super habitable world, Kepler 442b. Kepler 442b was discovered in 2015 and immediately drew attention because its Earth similarity index is up to 83%. It is about a third larger than our planet, enough to hold a thicker atmosphere. And most importantly, it does not orbit a difficult star like the Sun. The host star of Kepler 442b is more stable, with fewer solar flares and fewer sudden radiation bursts that could wipe out young life. In other words, if Earth is a house, then Kepler 442b is like a quieter neighborhood with fewer cosmic earthquakes. The average surface temperature of this planet is around -40 degrees Celsius. It sounds cold, but don't forget that just a thick enough atmosphere, the greenhouse effect, can completely raise the temperature to a level humans can adapt to. The only problem, and also the reason why Kepler 442b remains only on paper, is the rhythm of life. A day on this planet can last for weeks, even months. Imagine, the sun doesn't rise every morning, doesn't set every evening, but hangs in the sky for many consecutive days. Not everyone could endure such a world. So Kepler 442b is like a very livable option, but not for everyone. Kepler 442b showed us a world that might be even more livable than Earth, but is over 1,000 light-years away from us. Then the last planet on today's list appears as a paradox, the closest but also the most fragile.
The fragile neighbor, Proxima b. Proxima b is a planet orbiting Proxima Centauri, the Sun's next-door neighbor, only about 4.2 light-years from Earth. In terms of distance, this is the only place humans can dream of going to in the not-too-distant future. This planet is in the habitable zone where liquid water can exist. A year here only lasts 11 Earth days. It sounds very ideal at first, but then problems start to arise. Proxima b is tidally locked. That means one half of the planet always faces the host star, with a scorching day that never ends, while the other half is plunged into eternal and absolute cold darkness. There is no alternating light and dark, no day and night as we know it. If humans want to exist here, there is only one place with hope,
the fragile boundary strip between light and dark, a zone of eternal twilight where the temperature might be just right for water not to freeze, nor boil and evaporate. But all of that only happens if Proxima b has a thick enough atmosphere to withstand the intense radiation from the red dwarf Proxima Centauri. And up to the present, we have no solid evidence for that. Therefore, Proxima b is like a door right in front of us. Our hand has already touched the doorknob, but no one knows if behind it is a roof or just a cosmic storm waiting. And perhaps that is the ultimate message of this whole list. Humans can find many livable places, but to truly live, we still only have one Earth. And those are the most Earth-like planets in the universe that I just reviewed in the video. Remember to hit like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest content. Thank you guys for watching the whole video, and for now, goodbye.